Hi everyone, welcome to another Fairy Tail Fist Fight video. Now, I haven't made a video on this game for a while because there wasn't much new content and also I have been busy in real life to be honest. But there's going to be a new character that's been released tomorrow, which is going to be Jura. So I'm going to do a review of his skills to determine whether he's going to be worth summoning for. Now, first thing with Jura, you have to notice that he has Earth Elemental attacks and also he's a power unit, which is, to be honest, somewhat annoying because if you actually look at all of the Earth character in this game, there's actually a lot of them already been powered. There's Garjo, there's Hot Eye, there's Elfman, there's Gildas, and there's Jura. So you only have what? How many are there in total? You only have 8 in total, and 5 of them are already power unit. So it's unlikely that you'll be lacking from coverage perspective for like an Earth power unit. So maybe if you're just looking for someone to patch up your gaps in your box, then maybe Jura's not someone for you because assuming you already have one of the other numerous Earth power unit already built up, right? So if that's the case, then maybe Jura's not someone worth going for. But if we actually take a look at his kit themselves, they're actually quite interesting, especially when you get to Second Origin. But let's start off with the basic. Let's just go through his normal stuff first. Now, first thing you want to bear in mind is that his normal attack is short range, which is somewhat annoying because if you actually take a look at his other attack, let's start with this skill 1. Skill 1, it just inflicts stun. It's for 1.2 seconds, which is actually quite decent for stun. Stuns are normally really short, so 1.2 is actually one of the longer durations. If I go from this distance, remember, from this distance, I'm not able to hit with normal attack, but if I use skill 1, you can see I'm still able to hit. So I actually have the ability to stun quite far away. You notice the shield was away for a while and now came back on. That's due to his passive, which I'll talk about later, so ignore that shield for now. Now if we take a look at his skill 2. Skill 2, if you just look at the narrative, it doesn't say much. But if you actually use it, what you realize is that it pushed back the enemy but quite far. So if I show you here, you can see it pushed the enemy all the way back to here, which is very interesting. So for example, if I do it in comparison version, those 3 enemies in front of me are just in front of the 3 enemies on the right hand side. If I step right next to them and use skill 2, let's just see how much further they have been pushed away. Did you see that? Like it literally pushed all the way. Like they were here before, and now they were pushed all the way there. So it's actually really far pushing back. But that's actually more of a double-edged sword because one, it creates that distance from your enemy, but you also have to bear in mind his normal attack is short range. So that basically means if you do want to follow up with your attacks, this is actually going to be quite annoying for you. And same thing for skill 1. I don't think even skill 1 can reach from this range. Let me try. Yeah, skill 1 can't even reach from this range. So basically, if you do use skill 2 to create that distance, it's very likely you don't have to follow up much closer in order to land any of your other attack, unless you're planning to like run away from the enemy in like PvE, in which case it can actually be quite good as to create that distance. Now, if we take a look at his skill 3, basically it's going to reduce movement speed. It doesn't say how long, but it's going to be effective for the debuff is going for 20%, which is quite nice. If we take a look at the range it has, if we stand here, you see I'm able to hit, and also it's a quite far range in terms of like the width as well. So it's not just the fact that it's able to hit quite far, but also able to hit quite wide, which is nice. Judging by this, the reduced movement speed is only when the attack is on, so that's only going to be like 1 or 2 seconds. So it's not the greatest amount of time, but still, it's nice to have this debuff because it actually does have synergy with the rest of his kit, which I'll talk about later. And then lastly, if we take a look at skill 4, you are going to be able to petrify enemy for 2 seconds. So once again, that's a nice, decent control ability, and at the same time, you're also going to have control immunity yourself. Now let's test its distance. Distance-wise, it's able to hit quite far as well. So actually, all 4 of Jura's skill is able to do quite a bit of like hitting from distance. It's just really annoying that his normal attack is short range, and this is something I really don't like for a lot of characters. Is that when you're all of your skill attack at long range, but then you kind of need to walk up to the enemy later afterwards anyway, just for your normal attacks to land. It's just a really weird design, so I'm not a great fan of that. Okay, now let's put it into auto. Let's just see its skill combo line up in like peak context, etc. So it's gonna start off with skill 4 first. then gonna do skill 3, gonna do skill 1, gonna do skill 2. Okay, so what does that actually mean? So basically what you can see is that because skill 2 is only attacked at the very end, and that's the one create a lot of distance, so that basically means at least you are able to land off your skill attack before you push the enemy back. So that's at least very nice. I mean, it's the best you can take with a skill kit like this, to be honest. So basically what's going to happen in peak is that he's going to petrify the enemy first, then followed by reducing their speed. Okay, so basically you have like back-to-back control for quite a while. Then you are going to be able to stun again. So actually you almost have like 3 consecutive stun. You'll be like controlling the enemy for a really long time and then pushing them back away. So this is actually all really, really nice combo chain as far as his kit goes. So that's the nice thing. So I do think he will do quite well in peak contest because of that. Okay, now let's take a look at his actual passive as well. So for his passive, when he enters the battle, he's going to get a shield. So you saw that. And also when the shield is broken or disappear, it's reapplied after 15 seconds. Now, what you do have to realize is the shield itself lasts for 15 seconds, but this reapply after 15 seconds only when the shield is broken will disappear. So you're not going to have like back-to-back shield, which you probably saw earlier in my demo as well. Is that you use the shield, then once the shield disappears, so for the first 15 seconds you have that shield. For the 16 seconds to 30 seconds, the shield is going to disappear and you'll be on cooldown, so you won't have anything at that point. Then from the 30th second to the 45th second, you're going to get a shield back again. So that's still quite nice. You're able to get constant shield. In terms of how much damage is able to block, it's only 48% physical attack. Although I'm not too sure what's going to be the value once you level this up, so it could actually be higher. In fact, let me check whether I can see the value here. 120% physical attack. So that's probably still only gonna last for 2 normal attack or 1 skill attack. So still not a huge amount, but this is something gonna be keep on repeating. So that is at least having that nice benefit. And also if you actually think about the flow of the battle, you are essentially going to get a shield when the enemy attack you first. But at the same time, when the enemy land their first skill attack, you will then be controlling them, then reducing their speed, and then controlling them again. So if you actually add up all of those control duration, that's probably like a good solid 6 or 7 second control. And assuming the enemy use their strongest attack first to break your shield, so that basically means you don't have to wait for another so when your shield is broken for the first 6 or 7 seconds, the enemy will be under control, so shouldn't be able to hit you anyway. And then you only have to wait another 7 or 8 seconds before the shield is back on. So actually, if you do think about it from that perspective, that's actually quite nice. And also, if we just take a look at his skill cooldown, 12 seconds, 12 seconds, 18 seconds. Okay, so basically, once the shield is back on, you will be able to you'll be able to control the enemy again just before your shield comes back on. So it's actually more like the first 6 or 7 seconds you'll be controlling the enemy. You don't have like a 5 second gap where you're not protected by anything. And then this attack should be back to out of cooldown. Then you'll be able to stun again. And then once this stun finished, you should then have the shield back on. And then once that shield is broken, you can then follow it up with another petrifier and just reduce movement speed. So they actually do quite line up quite nicely from that perspective, which is something that's quite good, to be honest. Then if we talk about the leader skill, you are going to get enhanced control immunity. But then I don't know what this says, like increased hit rate. So that's a bit weird. But regardless which one it is, in fact, I think it's increased hit rate because that looks like the one from Hot Eye. I have a feeling they just copy and paste the Hot Eye skill description because that's another Earth and Power unit, and they just forgot to update it. Yeah, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be hit rate, but in either sense, they're okay. They're not game changer, but they're okay-ish effects, especially for PvP. If you are facing up against Razer, then this increased hit rate could actually be quite good. But that's about it. Nothing to really talk about there. What really makes Jura, in my opinion, really strong is actually when he get his second origin. Now, at the first level, you're just going to increase physical attack by 10%, so that's okay. But then at the second level, what you're actually going to get is that the enemy will gain a stack of stone sigil. When they're inflicted with stun, reduced movement speed will reduce hit rate. And then at the same time, when they have full stacks, they will be inflicted with Petrify. And you probably noticed this as well when I was showing you the demo, is that even for an attack such as my skill 2, if you take a look at it, there's no narrative about any control. But if I actually land this attack, what you then realize, let me just follow them, is the enemy, okay, I can't show you it here. Let me show you this one. This one should be reduced moving speed, right? So if I show you this, it reduces their moving speed. But at the same time, you see they turn gray, and that's because mean they have been petrified. And this is basically what it is. Now you are able to petrify them, even though that's not part of the skill, because at this point in time, you have already inflicted them with 4 stacks of those is a stone sigil. I think that's what it's called, and that's quite nice. And that basically, if you actually take a look at his kit, he has reduced moving speed here, and you are effectively able to turn this into another control effect. So that's why I was saying earlier, you're going to have like 6 or 7 second continuous control effect onto the enemy, where the enemy won't be able to do anything. And also at the same time, this is when the enemies get a stack when they are being hit. It doesn't have to be hit by Jura. So what that actually means is that when you have peak contests and you actually pair Jura up with other characters who are able to reduce moving speed or reduce hit rate or able to stun, etc., then they will also be affected, even though they are not directly in combat with Jura, and that's going to make Jura really, really strong in peak contests. And the other thing I noticed, like I'm not too sure whether this is correct, but at least judging from my own testing, that seems to be the case, and that is the stacks never go away. It says here when enemy with 4 stacks, they will be inflicted with Petrify. But it doesn't actually say after they have been petrified, then the stacks go away. And I think that is also going to be the case because if you actually take a look at this, right, this is at the start of battle. I use skill 3 straight away. This doesn't have petrify, but this has reduced movement speed. I use skill 3 straight away at the start of battle, and I'm already able to petrify them. So that basically means there are only 2 possible reasons why this could happen. One, um, first of all, the stack doesn't go away, so they will always be there. And second of all, is per hit rather than per skill. So when you have something like skill 3, what's going to happen is that skill 3, even though it's just one skill attack, it actually hit the enemy multiple times because it's like a tornado, that kind of thing, right? So every single time the enemy get hit, they will be inflicted with a stack. And you can see here, purely from skill 3, you're able to inflict 4 stacks straight away. So that's actually going to be really, really strong from that perspective as well. So if you actually then now thinking comparing Jura with other characters who are also able to either stun, reduce movement speed, or reduce hit rate, just think about how much control you'll be able to land on your enemies in peak contest. So I definitely think like Jura is absolutely amazing once you unlock his second Ethan Nano passive. And then from the last level, it basically just says if they're petrified, they'll take 30% more damage. That I feel is somewhat lackluster because yes, the enemy is likely going to be constantly under petrified, but still, like right after you use an attack, they are only petrified for 2 seconds. So it's like how much damage can you really do in those 2 seconds? So to me, the sweet spot is really just at his SR level of the Ethan Nano passive. You don't have to go crazy afterwards to get even more shots to get him to SSR. Oh wait, sorry. He's an SSR unit anyway, so you'll be getting all of them straight away. Ignore me. But yeah, so that's basically my thoughts on Jura. What's my verdict? Is he a good character? I think he is a solid character if you do not have him unlocked with his Ethan Nano passive, and then he turns into a crazy monster once you have his second level of Ethan Nano passive available.